So I'm going to try to make an argument here about the idea that conspiracy understanding might be the mainstream way for the average person to reach into yellow theory. So one of the central nexus understandings of yellow is that some people, everybody's right, but some people are more right. The idea here would be that the way that we run our present-day society has a rightness to it, a sort of correctness to it in general, but that to bring more rightness to the world, we have to dig through particularly the deep state, understandings of the shadow government, what I call deep finance, and that's related to things like the Federal Reserve. So if you haven't really looked into those things, I'd recommend, read some WikiLeaks, as Rommel says, or Seafood Chaos, keep calm and read WikiLeaks. So do some of that perhaps, and if you don't know anything about spiral dynamics, I'd recommend that, because I'm going to use that as a tool to make this argument. Not exactly integral theory, spiral dynamics in particular. So the idea here is that the present day system to some degree is a Ponzi-like scheme. Max Kaiser calls it sort of a casino gulag. And so, a healthy work environment would be one in which you have some stake in the company, where you actually have some shares, and you feel that your work is actually not only benefiting yourself, benefiting the company, which is also benefiting you. In most places, in a present-day work model, we don't have that. Unions kind of help with these sorts of things. There's some, good jobs do indeed have shares and so forth. But integrated into a postmodern society, we really ought to have a deeply shareholder system, it would seem to me. There's many reasons I think this isn't the case, and it really you have to dig into some of the nitty-gritty of our financial systems, I think, to really get a good understanding of that. And I'm not an expert. I just, I've done some autodidactic studies, and I feel I have enough understanding to comment on it to some degree. So, integral theory, or particular spiral dynamics, makes the notion that we actually fall back to some degree to fall forward. And that is to say that yellow is a fractal, or octave, as it were, higher than beige. And there's survival-like needs and orientations that evolve from that. In my opinion, on the horizon, we could have war. Not saying we will, we could have war coming to North America. We could have financial collapse. And I'm not being a fearmonger, because I don't know if this is going to happen. I'm just saying these things are being talked about in the mainstream press now, even. So like cyber war and so forth. This stuff is legitimately happening. Deutsche Bank is something it could take down the whole financial system if it collapsed, and mainstream pundits have said that. $56 trillion of extended derivatives, and the amount of debt in many of these first world countries is astronomical. We can't pay it back in any way that we have any financing system that we understand right now. I don't think. You dig into the Federal Reserve in general. Go back to books like Creature from Jekyll Island, very right-wing, alt-right, but I think great information in general on the nature of our financing system. Dig into books like Tragedy and Hope by Quigley, Carol Quigley, I think his name is. It digs really deep into the nature of the shadow government, deep state, continuity of government, and so forth. Anyway, falling back, if that's the case, then we have to dig up the roots of, a system that's kind of gone pathological, and it would actually make a lot of sense that was a pretty natural flow to the nature of things, if indeed there is this sort of pattern. There's global issues, they can't be solved with this kind of system. The system understands that, but it doesn't know what to do, so it evolves in this particular way. It would be kind of a natural unfolding in a city, in a centralized structure. So what I think we're moving to, and this is a bigger argument than even spiral dynamics, is something of a decentralized, integralized system. Things like Ethereum, I think, are the tentacles of what the future will look like. for better and for worse, because I think it has some, potential real big downsides in even things like that. But decentralized systems, Internet of Things, body centers of the world, and so forth, through virtual reality and whatnot. In other words, I do think that the mind of Yellow will be primarily driven by the understandings of a system that's gone kind of sour, and that we need in Turquoise and above to fix it with higher order, more holistic, more comprehensive frameworks like Ken's, which is beautiful in many regards, I think. But without that, gravity of understanding that this sort of perspective holds, I don't think people are going to move. I don't think there's going to be enough force to actually get into Yellow for a lot of people. So be well.